Washington.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Monday. Hey, any day above ground, as my dad used to say, is a good day. Welcome to planet Earth. It's a beautiful morning here in mid-Missouri as the summer turns to fall. I have my mind on things like Oktoberfest, which is going to be the first day that Stephanie and I are going to kind of take little baby Hazel out in public, and we're really excited about it. First time she's going to get to meet a bunch of our friends. Right? Doctor said you got to kind of like keep the baby away from large crowds for a couple of months, which we've done, and now she's kind of plumping up good. She's looking fat and healthy and pretty and pink, and we're ready to go to enjoy a little bit of Oktoberfest. Well, I get to enjoy the Oktoberfest, and then Stephanie gets to be my designated driver. I told her, I was like, I'm going to wear the baby on my chest for a little bit, but after I've had my first full stein of German beer, then the baby goes in the pram. You know what I mean? Plus, I don't want to get any fist fights with the baby. You know, you get angry and you just start punching like a random Irishman who's there and who's down for it. And imagine having to do karate with like the baby on your chest. Actually, I feel like that might be a good movie. Karate Baby. Oh. Well, if Kamala finds it funny, then I guess I don't. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Donald Trump survives a second assassination attempt. Will he survive a third?
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
God bless Donald Trump. Donald Trump is alive and kicking after a deep state Democrat tried to have him killed. Boo. The Wake Up America show brought to you by viewers and listeners who click that like button when they really enjoy the content. If they're watching for the first time, they also hit that subscribe. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm taking a little bit of time to get to this massive story, but at this point, isn't it the case that some insane leftist trying to murder Donald Trump is just like, you know, regular Monday morning, you know? Mark Ferry, 6267. Arr! Morning, shipmates. Fine Navy day. Oh, wait, I'm retired. Oh, nice. Congratulations. And welcome, Mark. Thanks for hanging out. Donald Trump safe after another apparent assassination attempt. The gunman took off in a vehicle initially, but is now remanded to custody. Donald Trump, the target of a second apparent assassination attempt Sunday when Secret Service agents opened fire on a gunman at his golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida, where the former president was golfing just a few holes away. Trump was unhurt and the suspect fled, but was arrested shortly after. And boy, did the lies and the spin and the bullshit from the mainstream media start fast. They started spinning quickly. The first narrative that the mainstream media went with is that, oh, this had nothing to do with Trump. It's at his golf club, and yeah, he's there, but it was just a guy with an AK-47 who was exchanging gunfire with somebody else. And I'm like, bullshit. You lying bitches. Don't lie to my face. And they're still lying. The media is still spinning. I've got a million billion clips to show you. And if you are not upset about this, you are not paying attention. I don't care left, right, Democrat, Republican. If you are not a murderous bastard, if you are not a John Wilkes Booth level of presidential assassin, like ready to murder to bring across your political views, then you should be outraged at this, because it is us, the civilized, versus them, the barbarians, not to mention the people that they're importing on the streets, 20,000 at a time. Austin, how dare you? It's not cats, Austin. 6 weeks later, it's cats. And here's why eating cats is good. And if you don't eat cats, you're a racist. You know what I'm saying? Courtney Conover, on point, per usual, says they want to avoid responsibility for creating this, but they do create this. I've got the picture of Kathy Griffin with the Trump head and the articles of all the times that they said they were sorry that the Trump shooter missed. We need to have someone go around to every person who publicly said the first time that they wished the Trump shooter hadn't missed get their take on this one as well. Were you hoping that this was going to be the time, right? Were you really looking forward to them assassinating him to murdering? Tell you what, why don't you just do it yourself? Why don't you have the courage of your convictions? If you really are ready for slaughter and you want to be the first one to go out, go ahead, here you go. Let's see how you do it. Is that what the feds are doing behind the scenes to these crazy people? They go in and they're like, notice my government shirt here, honorary Fed shirt. It's just my government is scary tea from the Halloween collection at the For Liberty shop. You know what I mean? It's a handsome shirt. But, the government goes and this guy, he's got Fed fingerprints all over him, this Routh character who allegedly shot at Donald Trump. He's got connections to the Azov battalion, which is the weird Nazi battalion in Ukraine. He's been trying to recruit soldiers for the U.S. military, for Ukraine, to send them over there. He said he wants to go over there and fight himself. There's videos of him looking cracked out, like a cracked out Gary Busey going to Ukraine, trying to recruit more people for this one. And why would a pro-Ukraine person want to assassinate Trump? They even said that he was hoping that Nikki Haley, the shooter was hoping that Nikki Haley would beat Donald Trump in the Republican presidential nomination. And a lot of Democrats and neocons wanted the exact same thing. They like Nikki Haley because they like endless war. They want the United States more involved overseas. And they know that Donald Trump is an impediment to that, which is why it's another feather in Trump's cap that he really is the more anti-war of the candidates. He really is the peace candidate relative to Kamala Harris and anybody else who's running at this point, who's in the pro-Ukraine, let's throw American lives and blood into a no-win war in Europe again crowd. So we're going to go through the clips, the mainstream media reactions. There was a phone call to my house yesterday, I won't say who, that's saying, after the assassination, that was saying to my wife, like, he's going to get assassinated if he doesn't stop saying what he's saying. He needs to calm down. He needs to stop saying what he's saying. And it's kind of like, whoa here, blame the victim. Whoa. And I guess the rape victim must have just, they really were asking for it, right? This is how the media treated it, is when they try and assassinate Donald Trump, it's his fault that we're trying to kill you. Whenever they're showing up, the leftists are showing up at his golf course, it's your fault. This is all your fault. I got the crazy eyes, you know what I'm saying, right? These insane people with these kind of laughs, you know. Courtney Conover, again with the hot take, says a pro-Ukraine activist wants to get rid of Trump because he won't fund Ukraine. Activists are psychotic garbage in general and a danger to us all. Oh, this is kind of scary as an activist. We've got guests. We do have guests. I failed to introduce them yet. We'll speak to Cliff Maloney at 7:30 this morning about the attempt on Trump's life, the second attempt. Also has some questions regarding a major decision that was handed down in the courts in Pennsylvania, a Pennsylvania court ruling on misdated ballots that might help to tip the state of Pennsylvania into Trump's favor. And we all know that there's some astronomical percentage chance of winning the presidency if Trump wins Pennsylvania. And let me just, not to be too bitter or vindictive or just maybe just petty, you might say this is kind of petty of me. But does anybody remember 2016? Do you remember that night, that heady night, that all of Hillary Clinton's minions were gathered at the Javits Center in New York City, and they were all absolutely certain they were going to win? And as the video started to roll in and the clips and the memes started getting posted of the leftists, it was before the inauguration when Trump did the no, and the leftist androgynous with the glasses does the right. This was before that, right? This was like, you saw the leftists and they're like looking up at the screen. They're like, oh no, right? They're freaking out. And then the tears must flow. And then my heart grew 10 times bigger on that night, Hey, Floby Tenderson. Hey, Courtney, thanks for the donation, by the way, guys. Floby says 2 attempts in 2 months. Ish is getting real. This may be the last week to buy Bitcoin under 60K, so stack your sats before some bricks news sends it over 100K. God bless America, Trump, and the Petersons. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Floby. Floby. CJ824 says it was so beautiful the night, not the assassination attempt, but the Javits Center footage. She says, make them cry again. Yes, make them cry. I will use that screaming activist meme forever. Yes, as will everyone else. Are you having fun here, guys? Don't forget, if you're filing in right now and having a seat, you can click the like button. If you're on X, that's the heart button. And if you enjoy the content on X, click repost. Join us and have your friends join us this morning live. I'm looking forward to speaking to Cliff Maloney in a little while. I've got a billion clips. They're all pretty dang good. I've also got Bow to Your Sensei a little bit later today.
Bow to your sensei.
Come on.
Bow to your sensei.
Yeah, Bow to Your Sensei. So we're going to do Bow to Your Sensei a little bit later on today. I've got bonus content for you today. Hint, hint. There is a Taylor Swift angle to it. So
how dare you?
If you guys are interested in seeing the bonus content, then keep those Rumble rants coming. And my recommendation, if you like my government is scary tee, then you should head over to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. And we are going to hit that $60 total today. All right. So we've got the Onion Dip says he's not having fun. He's pissed. Listen, I get it. You have every right to be. Okay. Absolutely. But the memes are, well, they are hilarious. Here they come. Here we go. Knock, knock, says Trump to Kamala. Who's there? Kamala says, Owen. Trump says, Kamala says, Owen who? Trump replies, Owen too.
Okay, I can first.
Very good. The memes. The legend lives on. This time, baby, Trump will be bulletproof. Here's Tom Woods posting a video about saying we owe David Icke. That's the lizard guy. Says that the politicians are all lizard people. Saying we all owe David Icke an apology. Here is a video clip of MSNBC arguing after the assassination attempt that the Trump campaign needs to turn down the rhetoric.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted, and it did seem like
I'm sorry, but what? What? The Trump, okay, it's like that phone call my wife got yesterday. It's the Trump campaign that needs to tone down their rhetoric. It's not all these crazy leftists trying to assassinate him. It's not all these newspapers saying they wish that the first time that they hadn't missed. It's full on blame the victim time. And I know that it's effective. This works in real time because we got a phone call yesterday, my wife, and she's answering the phone and she's like, I don't think that's Trump's fault that they're trying to murder him. He's not the one that has to, he doesn't have to change his speech or behavior, but the leftists, they get programmed, right? They watch the mainstream media and the mainstream media spins it and they just believe it. They believe the lies immediately. And people were telling me immediately, go check my X timeline from yesterday where I was like, where I posted this, I said, this will not end well for Democrats. And somebody was like, apparently it was unrelated and it wasn't but per NY Post and per New York Times, it said that it was completely unrelated, even though it was at his golf course while he was there and near him, only 3 holes away and all this crazy. I was just like, and I said, bullshit, you're lying. Stop lying to me. Stop lying to us, right? You don't even know all the details. We know that there was a shooting. You're going to tell me immediately that had nothing to do with Donald Trump? I mean, you're out of your mind. You're insane. You're crazy.
No,
Get out.
No, God, please, no.
No idea.
No.
And then Brian Stelter from CNN tweets that officials believe the shots fired were intended for former President Donald Trump. Now, we were conspiracy theorists 10 minutes before this tweet at 2:12 p.m. yesterday, September 15th, 2024. 5 minutes before this post was tweeted, it was not okay to believe that it had anything to do with Donald Trump. But then once the left does it, that it's now, and now the next one will be like, no one's trying to assassinate Donald Trump. Then it's like, okay, they are trying to assassinate Donald Trump, but here's why it's good, Here's why it's a good thing. They're serious. They're serious. They actually, is how they do it. And I love this. Speaking of liberal tears, after the event happened, the leftists are mad because Donald Trump's out there smiling, pointing, looking like a Chad. Here he is. Here he is. Looking at you. Oh, I see you right there. Hello. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Yes. You. Yes, you. The leftist posts. It's so annoying how funny he is. He is funny. He's funny. Good for you, Donald. And he posts 0 and 2. Just classic. Trump's latest failed assassin was some kind of schizophrenic NAFO boomer. I'm not sure I know what NAFO boomer is, but here you can see him wearing what looks to be not level 4 plates, from what I can tell, standing in front of a bunch of flags, has his own hair dyed half blue, right? Half white, half blue. Posts like these were screenshotted before he went. World War III. Let's go, people. I'm ready to go to Ukraine and fight and die for the kids and families of Ukraine. We all cannot sit around and do nothing. We need to flood Ukraine with citizens from around the globe for a massive civilian army. Someone respond to me and let's do it. Hashtag World War III. So appears to be egging it on, appears to be wanting to increase the military presence in Ukraine. Wants more civilians from around the world to come in and die for these globalist causes. Once World War III, this Ryan Routh character, all about, please, someone respond. I'm willing to fly to Ukraine and fight and die. Well, why didn't you do it, Ryan? Why are you coming to Washington, D.C., meeting with Congress people? Oh, wait, you're doing that as well. You're showing up in Washington, D.C., and you are meeting with Congress people. And you are, in fact, making contact with the feds. He also had a New York Times profile on him back in 2023. He helped recruit fighters to Ukraine. Yesterday, he tried to kill Donald Trump. Here is the New York Times piece here on the side. With Legion growth stalling, Ryan Routh, a former construction worker from Greensboro, is seeking recruits among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. I wonder who would have connections to those people and would be able to help him out with that. Mr. Routh, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, weapons that is, in some cases illegally from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens had expressed interest. Well, I'm also interested, Mr. Routh. Why can't I get these guns? These guns can run everywhere. The only time that guns like these are allowed to come to the United States is when they make their way into the hands of the drug cartels. I think we all remember when Barry Obama did that one, Operation Fast and Furious. But this is the schizo lefty psycho. Deranged attempted assassin Ryan Routh made at least 19 donations to the Democrat fundraising organization Act Blue. Attempted Trump assassin also wrote a book on the Ukraine war. In the book, he tells Iran to assassinate Trump while praising John Kerry for the Iran deal. He also calls Trump an idiot and says he perpetrated January 6th. Robbie Starbuck writes, he sounds like a mainstream media addict for sure. That is a man who had fully drunk the leftist Kool-Aid. The Azov Battalion produced a propaganda video. For those who are unaware, Azov is a far-right Ukrainian military militia with neo-Nazi origins, notorious for its anti-Russian extremism. Most American right-wingers these days are only in favor of right-wing Nazis if they are Americans and pro-Russia. Here he is in an Azov battalion recruiting ad, yet very, very sus, this individual, this Ryan Routh character. Jack Posobiec says there's no chance this guy didn't have crossover with national security agencies given his past activities. Edward Snowden says we know little so far, but with alleged Trump shooters' personal and public participation in military activity in Ukraine, it's hard to imagine this White House's agencies can claim zero contact, clean hands, something of an Oswald type here. Congress should get answers. Here he is in D.C. and Kyiv to provide soldiers for the war effort. Interesting. Guy seems to be glowing up all over the place. He went to D.C. They gave him a little glow up. Here's Claire McCaskill saying President Trump is more dangerous than Mussolini and Hitler.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and dictatorship. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous, and that is he has no philosophy he believes in. He is not trying to expand the boundaries of the United States of America. He's not trying to overcome a neighboring country like Putin is in Ukraine. He is not going for some grandiose scheme of international dominance. All he wants is to look in the mirror and see a guy who's president. All he cares about.
Yeah. I wonder where all of this violent rhetoric is coming from. The Babylon Bee posted a satire. Media assures Americans that the real threat is the side that keeps getting shot at. It's true. It's our fault. They keep trying to kill us. Don't forget that Bernie bro back in, 2015 that tried to assassinate Republicans playing baseball on the field across from my house at the time, actually. The shooter who tried to kill Rand Paul and also shot Steve Scalise, for example, putting him in a wheelchair for a time. And of course, that story definitely got memory hold quickly, just like this one is likely to do in the next coming days. Here's the thing. Democrats are saying nothing to goad people into trying to assassinate Trump, says Swan Marcus. There's actually, the rhetoric against Trump is actually far less hysterical than 2016 to 2020, despite being Trump much crazier this time. Trump's rhetoric is the only violent rhetoric in this race. Both sides must be toning down the rhetoric. What would you imagine would happen if I were to bring a severed head? You know what? I need to get a severed head of Kamala Harris and bring it out here, make an effigy to Kamala Harris's head, make a bloody head, go down to the weave shop, get a black woman's hair, right, and put that wig on top of it, right, make it look like an obvious black woman, and then hold up the bloody head. What do you think would happen if I did something like that, right? Do you guys think, should we get an effigy, right? Maybe we should go out there and we should get an effigy and we should burn it, right? What do you guys think? Would that be a good idea? Do you think I would get a visit? Biden says his bullseye comment about Trump was a mistake following Republican backlash. Jack Black's Tenacious D bandmate Kyle Gass says don't miss Trump next time. And of course, Mississippi Congressman's field director said the same thing. Don't miss next time. Coming up now in less than 5, we've got Cliff Maloney to talk about this and to talk about an unbelievable break in Pennsylvania. Might be the big break that they need to get Trump across the finish line for realsies. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Don't go away. Make sure to visit the Grift Shop, too, during the break.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Thanks for sticking around. If you noticed there, a few little changes. I've been doing some tweaks and upgrades to not only the cameras in the studio, but also the commercials as well. The show's grown so much that we actually have not only a whole merchandise ecosystem, but we actually have 2 brand new podcasts coming this fall to what is now the 4 Liberty Network. More information on that later. We're covering a massive story. The former president of the United States almost assassinated by a minion of the deep state at Trump's international golf course in Florida yesterday. An AK-47 wielding schizophrenic madman tries to take down Donald Trump. The second assassination attempt in 2 months. And another big story we're tracking this morning out in Pennsylvania, a court decision on ballots that just might tip the balance in favor of liberty. Joining us now, a man who knows liberty himself, former Ron Paul staffer. Liberty is his middle name. Well, I don't know if it is really, but it ought to be. Cliff Maloney joining us live right now. Good morning, Cliff. Nice to see you, sir.
Austin, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cliff, I want to talk about, first of all, the reaction to the shooting, not just the shooting itself, but immediately they went into spin mode. People were saying it had nothing to do with Donald Trump, you crazy conspiracy theorists. It was just two random guys exchanging gunfire at Donald Trump's golf course where he just happened to be 3 holes away, right? I mean, the lies and the spin started immediately, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I posted it on X, and I had a couple law enforcement buddies in Florida who were, sending me some verified information as sources, and it was just hilarious to see the reaction from the left, calling me a Nazi, calling this absolutely a hoax, that there was this gunfight outside of it. It's like, come on, folks. There's a guy 300 to 500 yards away from the president with an AK-47 in Palm Beach, and you're telling me it's just some gunfight that randomly happened near him? It just doesn't happen that way. And what's even crazier, Austin, is the media's reaction, not just right afterwards, but still. I mean, even on Fox News, I hate to say this. I mean, I was watching it. They brought on some woman, and she's saying how she's pretty much making excuses to the Secret Service, saying, well, you can't shut down everywhere all the time. I mean, she's not wrong in terms of if you're advocating for gun rights, right? Like, it's a pretty good argument. Yeah, you need to protect yourself. But this is the former president. And for them to go and say that they're going to give him equal protection as Kamala Harris because they're both these potential candidates and that threat level is so high. And then yesterday in the press conference, they say, oh, well, he's not the president. I mean, if you guys listen to that Secret Service guy, it almost seems like a psyop. They put up the worst communicator in the world to do the communicating in the press conference. It just doesn't add up. It's so wild to me how much they continue to lose the respect and the trust of the American people.
And then there's the gaslighting, Cliff, where they come in and they tell you it's not happening, and then 6 weeks later it is happening. Here's why it's good. But we got a phone call yesterday, I won't say who, my wife, and she's like, this is how we found out, I think, about the assassination attempt. And it was immediately, the attack was, Donald Trump better start calming his rhetoric down. He needs to do it. Right? And then the MSNBC, I see the clip later, I'm like, this must be where they got this programming from, because it's like, Trump needs to tone down his rhetoric. Trump really needs to cool it down, right? And it's kind of like, it reminds me of people who are like, well, she hadn't been dressed like that. Maybe she, she was wanting it. Right. You know what I mean? It's the same justification. You better change or we're going to murder you, and it's your fault. You need to stop doing this or we're going to keep trying to kill you. You know what I mean? It's our fault they're trying to kill us, Cliff.
Well, I think the left has an issue where they always have to be the victim, right? And they not only have to be the victim as the elected officials, but they teach and they prey on their supporters to think that they always have that victimhood. And so anytime a story like this breaks, that's a reaction is, how do we make him the bad guy and how are we the good guys, right? And my question to these leftists is always the same. One day you're going to wake up and think to yourself, maybe I'm the bad guy. Right, it's a conversation they never have with themselves.
Yes,
right, until it's too late. And so, yeah, I mean, you look at Lester Holt bringing up J6 and talking about how Trump has turned up the heat and it's his fault. I mean, it's just wild to me that these folks can jump to that, or all these other rags that put out it's just an incident. No, it was an assassination attempt. The FBI and the Secret Service, who are run by a Democrat president, put that out. Like there's no type of, I was actually appreciative that the FBI and Secret Service within 3 hours of the incident came out and said this was an assassination attempt directed at President Trump. Even CNN, Brian Stelter, maybe he's bringing back some civility to CNN and some credibility, dare I say. That's a joke for your viewers. But even he put out, it indeed was aimed at President Trump. But you still have all of these people on the left. They can't come to terms with reality. And so they create their own reality. They are deranged and their perception is completely void of any real scenario.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Cliff Maloney right now, running the PA chase out in Pennsylvania, chasing those ballots, trying to bring us a Keystone State victory. We're going to get to that in just a minute once we finish kind of the psychological profile of this shooter and the left's response to it. Make sure you click the like button on the stream if you haven't yet. If you're just watching us today for the first time, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. This is a 5-day-a-week show, so click the follow button underneath the video feed and join us again tomorrow morning at the same time to have lots more fun, stay informed, and learn more about the fight for economic freedom and personal liberty, which Cliff and I have devoted our lives and our careers and our fortunes and our sacred honors to. This weirdo who tried to assassinate Trump, he's alive. I'm actually glad we finally got one alive. I wish that like SEAL Team 6 had actually captured bin Laden, instead of like taking him and throwing his body off, in the ocean and stuff. It would have been nice to get a few answers out of him. It's best to take these people alive because it'd be good to get him talking. But the guy's got Fed fingerprints all over him, right? It seems as if he's one of those willing, useful idiots. He's kind of like that perfect, almost patsy type, right? Edward Snowden was kind of saying like, this guy's got like Oswald vibes all over him. You know what I'm saying? Right? He does the Fed's bidding. He tries to go to Ukraine. He tries to recruit soldiers. He doing what he can to try and bring. He's got half hair dyed blue, right? The other half white, right? He's throwing up all the gang signs that he is a deep state puppet. And the fact that he tries to murder Donald Trump, I think it says something about Donald Trump's foreign policy. I think it goes to show I think this gives us that real Star Wars good guy, bad guy, left, versus right, good guy versus bad guy, good versus evil scenario that we're facing here. Trump seems to be the more they try and murder him, the more I suspect he's the right guy for the job. Cliff, that's a lot to unpack. What's your react?
No, I completely agree. I mean, there's a lot going on here with this guy's support. Obviously, he's just all in on Ukraine, and it's very weird. I mean, it's odd. If you look at his Twitter feed, he joined Twitter back in 2020. And I have to admit this, Austin, you probably didn't expect me to admit this on the show, but, I kind of understood a lot of what he was putting out, or I think a lot of libertarians and non-interventionists on the right would understand a lot of what he put out. In 2020, he was calling Biden weak. In 2020, he really went in for Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of people haven't talked about that, but after Ukraine and Russia, he makes like this complete 180. You see his hair is dyed half blue. I mean, like you said, it's almost like something out of a book. If you wrote, who would be the one on the left that would go after Trump? He fits that mold, and he just was obsessed with Ukraine. And Austin, I'm going to call out some left libertarians here because I see this in the psyche with a lot of people where they become open to, I don't think we should be bombing everybody, and they're with us and they start to question why we're in all these wars. And then something happens to them. I don't want to call it woke mind virus because a lot of times that's,
it's
more
close.
for kids and transgenderism.
It's close. But you're right. It's it's very close to that. Like they apply critical theory to foreign policy to an extent. Oppressors versus oppressed, imperials versus colonials, and all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it almost becomes tunnel vision. And I've seen people on the left do this, or left libertarians do this with the border as well, which is why I feel like it's very tough to align with them when they're so off on the border or the transgenderism. But he has a case of this weird Trump derangement syndrome with Ukraine, and obviously it's derangement syndrome. He tried to kill the guy, but not to parallel him with left libertarians. But that's been a big part of my experience, right? Is to see people who they kind of lose sense of reality of what impacts everyday life. What are the things that voters and Americans care about, and how does that dictate what you believe? And this guy was obviously taken a hold of by somebody to go all in against Russia, to support Ukraine. And then here's the final piece that still is like, how do people do this? But to connect Trump to Putin. Putin has endorsed Kamala Harris, right? This Russia hoax, unfortunately by the left, has set in. And I think this is proof of that. They have tied Trump to Putin. They have made Zelensky the hero, and Trump is Hitler. That's why you get the assassination attempt. And anybody that denies that is not looking at this based on the facts that they think that Trump is the enemy of the people. And when you say that enough, people will attempt to take him out thinking that they're doing good.
The Wake Up America show brings you top-notch guests like the one you're hearing right now. Cliff Maloney joining us live right now. He's at the head of the Pennsylvania Chase, chasing ballots to try and bring the Keystone State into the Republican column this year. Cliff, talk to us about this major decision that will impact the outcome of the election. To my knowledge, perhaps you will be able to explain it to our audience a little bit better. Maybe explain it to us like we're five, Cliff. It appears to be that the court's decision when it came to the certification of ballots and the dates that they have to be turned in seems to favor Trump and Republicans. Is that the case? Why or why not? Fill us in, will you, please?
Yeah, so the courts in PA have just ruled that ballots have to be dated. Now, to us, that seems hilarious to be debating that in 2024, but because I figure even a 5-year-old could date a ballot. But one of the major problems in Pennsylvania is when mail-in ballots come back, they have to be dated. That's month, day, year. They have to be signed. They have to be witnessed, and they have to be put in a secrecy envelope, and then obviously sent back in an official mail-in ballot envelope. So there are different steps. And what's happened is these elections have been decided in the courts, not because we want them there, and I would argue not even because Democrats want them there, but because when the results of the mail-in ballots, Austin, are 80% for the Democrat and 20% for the Republican, it doesn't matter what the ruling is, you want more ballots if you're a Democrat. Because if you know that you're going to have a 60-point advantage with this type of ballot, you want whatever this type of ballot is to always count. And so the courts have now ruled that no, if the ballot is not dated correctly, it will not count, which is a huge win because any ballots that don't count, and they'll call us, election deniers and suppressing the vote, but any vote that doesn't count that's by mail is inherently good for Trump and bad for the left. Now, the exciting thing is ballots drop today. So I'm talking to you exclusively, coming on your show. Ballots go out. The post office is packaging them together. And in Pennsylvania, today is the day that mail-in ballots can go out. Our entire goal at PA Chase is to take that 20% number of the results of the mail-in ballots, and we have to get to 33%. So we've had 120 full-time ballot chasers on the ground since September 1. We've been working on requests. All that changes this week. We are now going to be going to the doors of Republicans that have a ballot. Because remember, folks, I just said ballots go out today. For those of you that think the election starts November 5, no. The election starts today in Pennsylvania. I don't like the rules. I don't advocate for them. I'm not here to support them. But I'm here to say if you want to win, you have to play by the rules. And that's exactly what the PA Chase.
So just overall, it is, in your opinion, that this court decision is favorable to Donald Trump?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'd like to say we're going to even it out at 50-50 on mail-in ballots, so it would be a wash. But our objective is still just to get to 33%, which means the Democrats would have 2/3 and we'd have 1/3. So less ballots counting is good. But I hate to say that publicly because people say you don't want votes to count. No, I just want legal votes to count. Right? There's a set of rules. To vote, you have to follow those rules. And so this is why when people see the Pennsylvania Secretary of State putting out a statement saying, hey, we might not know the results for a week. I can tell your audience right now, Austin, that is accurate. This election is as close as we think it's going to be. The reason it won't be known is not because they're counting ballots. It'll be because they're adjudicating ballots. The court system in PA will separate a lot of these ballots and mark them as provisionals. Those that don't have a date, those that don't have a signature, they're not witnessed, they don't have a secrecy envelope. If those things aren't there, they'll move them into a provision category per county. And then each county can try to appeal it. They can try to take it to court. I mean, I had a case from April. We had a primary in PA, a Rhino Republican versus a Liberty Republican. We beat him by 8 votes out of 18,000 cast. It was not decided until yesterday. The primary was back in April and May. It was not decided until yesterday because we took it all the way to the PA Supreme Court. I'm just alerting your audience that, yes, you should be concerned about the court process, but know that that adjudication is there to try to see if these ballots are legal. And we should really be rooting that any ballot that is not legal does not count. Not because it benefits us, but because we need to follow the rules and have a legal and fair process.
Weren't there judicial shenanigans in Pennsylvania in 2020, specifically that a judge issued an emergency stay to continue to accept ballots after the legislature had passed a law that required ballots to be turned in by a certain point? And do you have an eye on that judge to see if they might be doing some prepared to play some kind of a game in the election this time?
Well, this is why they label me a conspiracy theorist, because when people ask me, was the election stolen? I always say, well, let's define stolen. Let me ask you the question, not you, Austin, but the lefty I'm talking to. If somebody went in and instead of using the legislature, they used the court system and they used executive orders and they changed rule after rule after rule that would obviously benefit one side over the other, and the side that they benefited won the election, would you consider that stolen? Would you consider that fair? So yes, in 2020, there was tons of that in Pennsylvania, right? And it wasn't just one judge, it was certain counties. Remember, there's 67 counties. In Pennsylvania, you vote as they report out as counties. And so then there are certain judges that are part of certain levels that get to rule on some of these things. And so you could have a red area, but it happens to be in a blue county or a blue district for a judge, and that can be problematic. But you can also have a blue area, a little city area, but that's in a more red area that could be beneficial. So look, anybody that says that politics isn't a partisan thing or the judicial branches aren't, they absolutely are. And so, this is the adjudication of power. That's what politics is. So I see this as a bloodbath. I think the RNC is totally locked in on the legal stuff. I've been very excited about that, very impressed with what they're doing. We're totally locked in on chasing ballots. Folks can go to PAChase.com, help us out, sponsor a ballot chaser. You've got early vote action with Scott Pressler. You've got turning point action with Charlie Kirk and Tyler Boyer. You have all these different groups, the PAGOP, the RNC. We're all coming together, but you can't just battle it out in one arena, right? We all have to piece together what we're doing. I'm not going to be able to handle poll watching and poll working and the legal stuff. That's on the RNC, right? But they are prepared. I'm here to report that. Our job is 141,000 Republicans requested a mail-in ballot in 2020. They never sent it back. We lost by 80,000. Austin, to answer your question, those 141,000 people, if they would have taken action, we wouldn't have had to worry about these courts that made crazy decisions. We would have overcome the rule changes, but they didn't. We fixed that. We win the White House. And in my opinion, we saved the Republic.
Running out of time here, Cliff, but I have one last question. This was from the audience. Our friend Quest Fanning asks, aren't fewer Democrats voting mail-in just because they're under less COVID paranoia than in 2020? Do you think that might impact the outcome this year?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. I get pinged on that a lot. So here's the quick numbers, and cut me off when we're out of time. In 2020, at this time, Democrats compared to right now for the 24 election, Democrat mail-in ballot requests are down 183,000. So Quest is right. We're out of COVID. But here's the reality. When you're not getting a mail-in ballot, you are much less likely to vote, especially as a Democrat when you look at the numbers. So I'm not saying all 183,000 of them are not going to vote. But when you look at the numbers, roughly half to at least, let's say 30% are likely not to vote. And so when you compare that with the registration numbers being cut in half when it comes to an advantage for Democrats, I am optimistic. A lot of the media, yap, the debate, the numbers show us in Pennsylvania that the momentum and the energy are not for Kamala Harris, they're for Donald Trump, which I think is great for the future of the country.
Well, he's done a lot to earn it, Cliff, but you've done a lot as well. And I'm certainly excited to see what happens if Pennsylvania goes to Trump. I think your name definitely gets in the pantheon, or at least maybe a golf invitation to Mar-a-Lago. Cliff, just make sure you bring your level 4 plates when the crazies bring the AK-47s for you, Cliff. Thanks so much for your time today. Good luck out there, man. Thanks for keeping up the fight for liberty, brother. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Austin. Take care.
That's Cliff Maloney. You can follow him over on X at Maloney. Just at Maloney. Maloney. You can find him over there. Follow him. He's a patriot, a freedom fighter, and he joins us on the Wake Up America show live. It's nice to have somebody who is willing to get up this early and join us on the Wake Up America show. It's sometimes hard to get guests for this show because when I reach out to them, I'm like, I'm not waking up at whatever, right? And it's hard for me to get the California people, right? All those West Coasties, like they love to, and sleep in anyway. So it's just kind of like, if I want any Hollywood people, they got to be on the East Coast for whatever reason. Even then, it's still early for them. But you and I, we're here together. Look at us now. Two hearts that beat as one. You are the only one. And something, my love, my endless live loves. We've raised what looks to be $43 of the $60 bonus content goal. Guys, I'm gonna go to a break right now. Wouldn't you rather watch the awesome new mini documentary that I produced for you today rather than watch commercials? I know you would rather do that. We're so close. It's $43, so let's see, 60 minus $43, $17 left to go until we hit that sweet bonus content. Somebody just needs to just kick a 20 in,
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
If you're just watching the Wake Up America show for the very first time and you thought that was disgusting, well, you know what?
How dare you?
Greta Thunberg, you're in the wrong place. We try and keep it PG-13 here on the Wake Up America show. We don't always succeed, but we always have fun. And yes, we try and be as family-friendly as possible, and we even have family-friendly topics. But every once, like I say, here's what it is. I'm a family man, but sometimes I curse a little, It's like that lady who went on Ellen and she says, I love Jesus, but I drink a little. Well, I love families, but I swear a little. So if you can't take that heat, you might not like the kitchen. It's Mommy for the win for her favorite comrades. Do svidaniya. She did it. She unlocked the bonus content. You get to watch that instead of the commercials. Everybody say thank you, Mommy and Quest and Courtney and everybody who donated today so far. Thank you all very much. Somebody went to the store and purchased something. Thank you. We'll be right back with John Miltimore. The New York Times says you're selfish for even wanting to have children. When we get back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Unlocking the Wake Up America show's bonus content. Your financial support helps keep the show on the air. Today's story. Donald Trump declares, I hate Taylor Swift after pop star endorses Kamala Harris. Former President Donald Trump lashed out at pop star Taylor Swift Sunday, declaring disdain for her days after she endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump posted a strong message to Taylor Swift on Truth Social saying, I hate Taylor Swift, without elaborating further. Swift had endorsed Harris just after the ABC News debate between Trump and Harris last Tuesday. She previously supported President Biden in the 2020 election. I'm voting for it, Kamala Harris, because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them, Swift wrote on Instagram to her 284 million followers. Swift praised Harris as a steady-handed, gifted leader and emphasized the need for calm rather than chaos in leadership. She encouraged her followers to research the issues and understand the candidate's stances on important topics. Swift also mocked GOP vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, signing her post Childless Cat Lady, a jab at his 2021 interview with Tucker Carlson. The post featured Swift posing with her ragdoll cat Benjamin Button. Tim Walz, Harris's running mate, praised Swift following her endorsement. He advised men to surround themselves with smart women and listen to them. Walz, a fellow cat owner, thanked all the women supporting their campaign, aiming to defeat Trump. Trump's allies quickly reacted against Swift, with speculation about her potential endorsement of the Democratic nominee in the 2024 election. Trump previously criticized Swift after her endorsement, emphasizing he was not a fan of the influential singer. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, liked a post from Trump, drawing backlash from fans. Swift is dating Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. On Fox News, Trump said he preferred Mrs. Mahomes and claimed Swift always endorses Democrats, suggesting she'll face market repercussions. Swift, who once avoided politics, began endorsing candidates in the 2018 Tennessee Senate race, supporting former Governor Phil Bredesen. Over 400,000 users clicked the vote.gov link Swift included in her Instagram story within 24 hours, per a spokesperson for the General Services Administration. Swift urged her fans to register to vote in the upcoming Navi 5 presidential election. Despite her influence, Swift's endorsement appears to have little impact on the 2024 landscape, with only 6% of voters swayed, per an ABC News Ipsos poll. A YouGov poll showed that 8% of voters felt more likely to vote for Harris due to Swift's endorsement, but a majority, 66%, said it would have no impact.
Going back. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Networks. Everybody having fun today? No? You still angry? I get it. You have every right to be, every reason to be. After the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at his golf course yesterday, we're going to talk to my next guest about that as well. But another article that I was reading over the weekend from the New York Times was going viral. And the headline was, "Why You're Selfish for Even Thinking About Having Kids." That's right. It's not just having kids. You're selfish for even thinking about having children. We're going to talk to my next guest, who's a father as well, about that topic and more. I've been getting these comments on my YouTube channel about how much they look forward to these conversations. This segment is called Mondays with Miltimore, and 2 years after we started this show, this is the 2-year anniversary month of the Wake Up America show, John Miltimore, formerly of FEED, now with the American Institute for Economic Research, that's a mouthful, say that 5 times fast. He has been a stalwart on this show, joining us bright and early on Mondays to give his libertarian take on the daily news. John Miltimore, live right now. What's up, John? How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great, Pete. How about you?
John, what was your reaction when you saw that someone tried to assassinate President Trump yesterday?
Man, I was at a baseball game. We had fall ball. We had a doubleheader yesterday, and all of a sudden, a couple parents came over. I think they know my political leanings and my background. So like, did you see this? Like, and they're like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, no. And it was just kind of. But the fact that other people. You see, just the average Joe, they're very concerned about this, right? They're like, what is going on? And we're living in this period now, and for younger people, I don't think they realize just what a normal time it was, in the 80s and the 90s, and like it was a different world. Today, it's a very radicalized one, and we're seeing things that we never saw before. I'm 45 years old. I guess I was technically born when somebody took a shot at Reagan, those years ago. But we're living through something very ugly here. And we're even seeing what I think are people responding to this, and they're blaming Trump, in his rhetoric and things like this. I see people doing this, and people I like, people I know that are on, television trying to say, well, it's kind of Trump's fault. Like, and he's not going to tone down the rhetoric. The man is being shot at. And, I think we got to find better ways to respond to this. If you look, and I will say this, there is on both the right and the left, there is a growing number of people who see violence as appropriate means to their political ends. Now, it's greater on the left right now than the right, but that number is increasing. And that is something I'd encourage everyone listening, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, whatever, those using violence to attain your ends, that's something that we should not be looking to do, especially when we're talking about like as simple as an election.
It strikes me very much as similar to before the outbreak of World War I. You had all these entangling alliances, and you had all of this political rhetoric that was flowing in the milieu, the height of the progressive era. People are starting to call for bringing down and decapitating of governments and wars, and it was incredible to learn that this shooter, his whole motive was to try and promulgate World War III, right? He wants to be the next Gavrilo Princip. He wants to assassinate someone to start a war so that the United States would be more enmeshed and deeply admired into another European war. John, these are his stated goals. Why does he want to kill Donald Trump? It's because Trump is the most pro-peace of all of the candidates. It really is, John, when I seek to justify, according to my libertarian views, my vote for and my support for Donald Trump, and it really is this foreign policy issue. Like, this is just another sign, another canary in the coal mine, John, that the deep state, the Democrats, the left, the Ukrainians, that are behind sending billions to Volodymyr Zelensky, they want Trump dead because he really is the most pro-peace of all the candidates running. What's your reaction to that?
No, I think he is, and I think that's just one of the reasons that they would probably prefer him dead. The World War I analogy is interesting because I've made that point myself a number of times in probably the last year or 2 years, and I tell people I wonder what it felt like in 1913, and I think it felt probably a lot like it does now. And you're right, and I've made the point, for all we know, World War III has already started. Like when they write the histories of World War III, like assuming we'll have one. We don't know what year they'll start. I don't think they knew in 1914 yet what that it was going to be World War I. Sometimes wars start before you realize them that it's even started.
China and World War II, they had been fighting in the Japanese and Chinese had started really World War II far before Hitler started invading Czechoslovakia and Poland and all that stuff.
Right. And so, yeah, and I do think that's one of the reasons that Trump is he's very clear. All these foreign entanglements are not good. And I think that is one of the reasons he's a popular candidate. You have people that are, at the Pentagon, in the intelligence agencies. They are so invested in these, foreign conflicts and these, foreign agendas. They look at Trump as a clear threat to those agendas. And we saw, go back to the Peter Strzok emails back, and he said, "We will stop him." Right? That's what he text messaged Lisa Page. He will not be president. We will stop him. And that's the mentality they're using. I'm not saying that they're the ones trying to whack Trump or anything like that. This is just a crazy, we don't know. I don't know the motivations for the guy who, previous one. This one I haven't even looked at details. So I'm not saying that the deep state is out there paying assassins to kill Trump. I'm not saying that.
But you're not saying that.
I'm not. Again, yeah. Here's the thing. If you look historically, we had the CIA doing all kinds of games that Americans have no idea what they were doing in the 50s, in the 60s, early 70s. They were doing all kinds of things. Americans have no idea about it. Now, oftentimes they weren't doing these things themselves, but they did. They kind of allowed other people to do their dirty work, including whacking, assassinating leaders in the Congo or other places that they looked at as nations that were hostile to their agendas. And those are things that most of us would rather not think about, right? And like most of us don't want to believe our guys could be capable of anything like that. But history shows they are, especially when you're looking at foreign entanglements and things like that.
Yeah, I found out when I saw the musical Assassins, which is a really great show about John Wilkes Booth and Charles Guiteau, specifically Charles Guiteau, who assassinated James Garfield, had been a painter in before he became an assassin, and back in the day in the 1800s, lead was common in the paint, and the belief is that he became insane in large part due to his exposure to lead paint, right? So a lot of times there is a conspiracy theory from the old 1800s that the Garfield's enemies found this painter who was a little bit nuts and sent him like a bullet to kill James Garfield. So even then there were conspiracy theories in the 1800s, and you can't write off conspiracies entirely, of course, because, and a lot of people really don't know this, it's become more common knowledge in recent years after the Bill O'Reilly book, but the Lincoln assassination was literally a conspiracy. Right. And of course, most people don't know the definition of the word conspiracy, which is just two people deciding to commit a crime at some point in the future together. That all it takes is two people for there to be a conspiracy, versus a conspiracy theory, which is like usually very complex explanations for some singular event. But it's the thing is that the conspiracy theorists have been proven so right so many times that they've been, especially when it came to COVID-19 and the pandemic and the shots and the tyranny that would come. You know, they're not going to put us in camps, but in Australia they did. I really would love to conspiracy freak out on you, John. It'd be a lot of fun. But because I only have you for 15 to 25 precious minutes, I'd like to move on to the next topic to discuss with you, because my blood was boiling when I read this article from the New York Times. The anti-natalists. The headline is that it's selfish to even think about having children, right? So it's like, the thing about that is just so insidious. It's not just that it's selfish to have them, it's selfish to think. Like, you're evil, John, for thinking, right? Your thoughts are evil, right? And it's all part of this climate cult. And it's the kind of like stuff that feeds into these broken brains, like the type that we saw trying to assassinate Trump on the golf course. But I can't understand or identify with people who hate kids or think people shouldn't have kids or that, like, kids are bad or babies are bad. What was your reaction to it, John?
Yeah, I should point out first, though, it's a LA Times story, not New
LA
York
Times, excuse me.
I just don't want the New York Times to sue you,
Thank you.
No, this is the most natural thing when you look at this is an outgrowth of Marxism, right? Like, well, like when you have a Marxist foundation for your philosophical beliefs and your whole worldview, this makes a lot of sense. Because if you read Marx, if you read the Communist Manifesto, if you read his personal writings, he was revolting against everything. Okay, he was revolting not just against capitalism. He was revolting against nature itself. He was revolting against God. He was revolting against the family. He was revolting against everything. And if you think about it, there's nothing more natural on earth than making a family. Nothing. Okay. Like that is something, like, we have a natural instinct to love one another. We have a natural instinct to procreate and to raise children. And so it takes, I really think, a Marxist, a person deeply rooted in Marxism to look at that and say that's a sick thing. That's a perverse thing. That's a shameful thing to actually want to have children. But once you adopt that mindset, it makes a lot of sense. Julian Steinman, the great economist, had a point he made years ago, is you can look at human beings as stomachs or brains. And on the left, they always see them as stomachs. And that's where you got this scarcity mindset, right? Like, we can't have more people because it's more mouths to feed. It goes back to Thomas Malthus, way back when.
Malthusian.
The Malthusian, economics.
The planet is overpopulated. There's too many people. We need a plague. The leftists were all saying we need a plague until the plague came. And then they're like, you're a grandma killer. How dare you? Right. They went from being pro everybody die in a plague to suddenly we have to save everyone in a plague. And it's the people who are trying to save the babies that are the ones who are trying to kill grandmas. Right. It's amazing how they flipped overnight on that.
Yeah. The climate hysteria is really an outgrowth of that. It's a different version of that. But it ends up in the same place, that humans are bad. Like, we're filthy creatures. We're going to make the planet worse. We forget that the planet is here for us. At least if you come from a biblical worldview like I do, like, the earth is something for us. Now, we should be good stewards of it, right? We should take care of it. Those things are important, and we're instructed for that. But the earth is not the end. The earth is here to serve us, but not according to the climate alarmists. Like, everything we do is making the world uglier, the planet uglier. We're taking it down this path. So you have people that have taken it to its logical conclusion that humans themselves are a curse to the planet, and that we really shouldn't exist.
I think that there's something innate in almost all humans, left, right, libertarian, conservative, socialist, whatever. There's a desire to worship. I don't share that. Whatever gene that is got turned off in me before I was born, right? I wasn't born with that gene. But when scientists who are atheists or communists or leftists or socialists, Marxists, right, the left, they turn their desire to worship into a twisted form of scientism, which is to replace the concept of God with government, with science, with some earthly materialist, to replace the idea of something that is supposed to be divine with something that is quite clearly imperfect, something that is quite clearly something that is constantly shifting, constantly changing, and our understanding is constantly moving like in 360-degree fashion, like a compass, as we are trying to triangulate what is the truth. And then, of course, the left is, through Marxism, through wokeism, critical theory, and their social and philosophical views, trying to disrupt our belief in the concept of truth fundamentally, and then obscuring the truth after the fact, as we're seeing with this story, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. John, the mainstream media went into spin mode immediately, saying it wasn't happening, it didn't happen, and it has happened. If it does happen, and now it's good, right? This is how it goes, right? In a 24-hour cycle, that, blame the victim rhetoric and all this stuff. The left has mastered the dialectic. They are fantastic at putting us into situations and making the American people think that there's only two options to things, continuing to ensure bifurcated thinking, black or white. It's either this or that, you're this or you're that, and stuff. That happens on the left, on the right as well. Trust me, progressivism, socialism, leftism, Marxism, communism, all, like, one of the most popular guys on X right now is a communist MAGA guy, right? This Jackson Hinkle character. Have you seen him, right? Seems like you haven't seen him, right? The communist MAGA guy with like 3 million views, and he's a big fan of Palestine and all this. He's a MAGA communist, right? So we're sort of there's this sort of schizophrenia, a mental illness, and psychosis. And the left is stirring it up, glorifying it, codifying it, legitimizing it, institutionalizing it, creating academia that bends to their will, Hollywood, television. Like, the cards are all stacked against us, John. And we fight this fight, and it's kind of like when 99 people are in a room and they all stand up, and there's one person there who's not standing up, that person will stand up. Why do we do this? There's something about human, maybe there is if it's not completely tabula rasa, there must be something in our genes, or at least in most. This is another one that I have turned off, John, and that's obedience, right? Most people obey blindly, without thinking, without questioning. There's a problem. This is why we don't have democracy, but this is why, like, we have to be careful about the masses, because people are easily led astray, are they not, John?
Conformity is really what I think even more than obedience. Like people have a strong desire to conform. That there's a great fear of being the outlier, of being different, and I think leftists are very good at exploiting that. And it might have been Claire Lehman, the editor and founder of Quillette, that had a wonderful quote a few years ago, and she said, basically, she's saying conformity is the root of all evil, because there's this, so much goes on. We're just going to do what everyone else is doing because we don't want to stand out. And her point was that very few people are genuinely deeply evil, right? That they are an evil person that's going to willfully do an evil thing. But most of us are conformists, right? Like, most of us will conform, and we saw that during the pandemic. And I wrote article after article after article talking about the importance of non-conformity. Like, no. Know what you believe and know what you won't do. Know your principles. And I think that's why we have more conformity than ever. People don't know what they believe. They don't. They don't have. They have a general understanding of what they think is right and wrong, but they don't have a deep understanding of their principles. So they're very easily swayed during moments like this, especially during emergencies. And that's why, everyone listening, hey, be a proud nonconformist, right? Know what you believe and to say to hell with them. If they're doing things that run counter to your beliefs, your principles, say you do you. Okay, my wife loves to say that, and it was just something like something I've adopted. You can do what you want. I'm not going to try to tell you how to live your life. You know, if you're a friend, I'll try to help you. I'll give you advice. But otherwise, no, you have your beliefs, we have ours. The problem is our world today, we're all trying to get everyone else to conform to our system. I talked a little bit about this with the whole corporate social responsibility, ESG. I was on a radio show talking about this. Even corporations now are doing it, right? Like it used to be that corporations just want to sell you stuff. Like we're going to give you a product, we're going to, serve consumers, and give people jobs, hopefully make shareholders richer. That's not enough. Corporations now have to decide what we think. And Burger King is going to do commercials on climate change and cow farts and things like this. Like this is, you're going to have everybody telling you, DEI, like in all this stuff. No. Like we don't need corporations doing that. That's not their role. Go try to have a successful business and give us products. Stop trying to influence how others think. But in society today, there is this pressure to do that, to make everyone else think as we do.
John Miltimore joining us live on the Wake Up America show. Good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. It's Mondays with Miltimore. John Miltimore works for the American Institute for Economic Research. He's joining us live, and he joins us live every Monday on the Wake Up America show. So if you enjoy these conversations, come back on Mondays to hang out with me and John, batting things back and forth. He's another liberty lover like myself. You can click the like button to help support the show. And if today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show, the follow button as well underneath the Rumble show. Click that follow button so you can find us easier tomorrow morning, because it is a 5-day-a-week, 2-hour live newscast. Speaking of John Miltimore about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, about the anti-natalist views of the left, specifically due to a NYTimes, excuse me, I got hiccups. NYTimes article, which came out saying that you're selfish for even thinking about having children. Is this a problem that will breed itself out, John?
I've heard that theory. I don't think so. But I don't see these being effective either.
But is that why they have to take over the schools and trans the kids, John, because they're not reproducing?
I do think I think that you have a good point there.
They have to recruit.
Because that they might not be able to get these beliefs mainstream through the family and just through media. Like you kind of have to have an educational component.
Because like the transgender thing is typically, you would think that because it involves castration, it's not the type of gene that would reproduce.
Right. Yeah. No. So I've heard that theory. I don't think, like I've heard people say, hey, Republicans are going to be winning because the left isn't, they hate having children. I don't think it's going to be the case. I think, as you point out, there's other ways to get people, what we're looking at really is our ideologies that are colliding. But I do think that, articles like this do the left far more harm than good, because like I made a point earlier, like people have, it's a natural instinct to want to have a family, to want to have kids. And it's a good instinct. And people who have that should carry that out. Now, I also say be responsible, right? Like this is something my kids are all like, they can't wait to have, my daughter's 13, and I can't wait to have a family. I'm like, well, that's nothing to rush into. A lot of responsibility there. Understand that this is an enormous responsibility you're taking on. But yes, having kids is good. There's nothing more rewarding in life. I know we're very career driven as people. Like people all, I have an article in the works. It's the opportunity cost of your dream job. If you get that dream job, I don't care if it's pitching for the Yankees or being the CEO of Target or some other corporation, having that dream job is going to be missing out on a lot of good things. And my point is, I wouldn't trade. Would I have wanted to pitch for the Yankees? You betcha I would. But I wouldn't trade. Like I work from home. I get my kids a lot, and those are things I wouldn't change. I get to coach baseball and football and wrestling and do these things. You can't do that if you're working 80 hours a week, or if you have 162 games in a season. You're on the road. Those are good things. And there's nothing better than family if you get your everything aligned. Right, your job, like all those things matter, but family is good. And any leftists that want to tell you like don't have kids, you're awful if you do, or you're selfish. It's a really nonsensical point. in a literally a destructive one, because humans, like I said, humans are brains, not just stomachs. Like, humans go and make the world a better place. Like, if you look at if we're destroying all that human capital, the world's going to look like a very ugly place in 15 years, 30 years, 50 years. This is something China, if you look at the Chinese one-child policy that they had for all those years, they're paying a huge cost for it. They understand it. Now they're trying to incentivize people to have children. Children are good. Go have them. We'll pay you.
Well, yeah, because they're communists and they want the tax base.
That,
and the soldiers.
Yeah, but I mean, they realize, we can't sustain this. But to me, this is a good thing. Getting central planners out of procreation is very important, and not just for a Chinese one-child policy, but beware of politicians that are going to come and trying to give you money to have children too, and to do all those things. Those things will come with unintended consequences as well.
What about tax credits? What about tax credits?
If by a tax credit you mean you get to keep a bit more of the income you make?
Yes, both Kamala and Trump are angling for my vote by saying $6,000 tax credits for each new child. And I'm kind of like, sounds pretty good.
There's a big difference though here, and people need to understand this. Kamala Harris wants to take away the work requirements for that. And that's not good. We need people working. Like, we don't want to be just subsidizing people to have kids and to be on the dole. Like, that could, you want to talk about bad incentive problems, like, you have a whole bunch.
The government's going to pay me to stay home and make love to my wife and have lots of beautiful little sweetheart ginger snap babies. I don't know, John.
What could go
wrong,
right?
There's that, or I have your worldview, your libertarianism. I got to work my ass off. I got to make my own stuff. I got to like take care of myself and my community and be responsible for shit, raise my kids on my own without any government money. Honestly, John, can see why a lot of people choose the other side.
And everybody putting a hand in your pocket every 5 minutes too. That you're trying to make a living and they're taking it here and taxing it there.
Yeah, but they do the withholding, so it doesn't hurt so bad, John. And so that way is it sort of spaces it out. I only have to pay every quarter, right, for my taxes and things like that on top of all the other taxes. But of course, I'm kidding, John. Hey, give us your plug. Where are people going to find John Miltimore's brilliant views outside of the Wake Up America show?
Hey, check out our content, The Daily Economy, at aier.org. I'm also on Substack. I love it whenever I see a new listener come in from the Austin Peterson show. So check me out, The Take by John Miltimore on Substack.
John Miltimore on Substack, and at Miltimore79 over on X. Should have made it 69. Just kidding, John. Have a great day, man.
Hey.
Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Okay, what's going on here? Tim Walz's wife with the crazy eyes. I know if you're listening to the audio version later, you're not getting the full impact here, but take a look at the eyes. You can see it.
Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump.
She reminds me a little bit of that Mad TV character. I don't remember who she was or what skit it was, but she was like, woo! She would always kind of talk like that, and she had like the eyes, and she was like looking around and everything, like, bye-bye, Donald Trump. 52 days. Right? It's like there's something weird going on. It's Tim Walz. The crazy eyes. Hold on, see if I can pause it on there, right? Hold on. Oh, 52 days, Donald Trump. No, that's for later. What else? What other clips do I have? Oh, some people, I never got to show this. This was from last week, but Kamala Harris was asked about her plans, specific plans to bring down prices. Take a listen.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers, and I
remember the question was, what's your plan to bring down prices?
try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, you know? And
sorry, what?
I can first.
Stewart's mom from Mad TV. Oh no, I think it may be the same. No, it was a different actress. But yeah, it does sound like Stewart. I probably sounded like Stewart's mom there. No, but that's not who I was trying to go for. Grixis, thank you for that. Yeah, she's off into tangents. It's word salad. It's the next president of the United States. Hopefully not. No, God, no. Rachel Vindman says no ears were harmed about the assassination. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon, writing it off, essentially. Michael Malice, always beautiful, says Kamala Harris's key demographic is highly educated, highly mentally ill white women. Yes.
How dare you?
Very true. I like this meme of Donald Trump where he's making fun of the shooter. I'm Ryan Routh. I'm a gay libtard who can't shoot for shit. Hold on. There's a gay libtard. I'm a gay libtard who can't shoot for shit. Love it, love it, love it. Funny. Somebody else says, I think it's the lady with the pool boy on Mad TV. Boy, am I going to have fun finding this later. But I just love this meme of Donald Trump making fun of the shooter. I'm a gay libtard who can't shoot for shit. Best memes. The best memes. It's the Wake Up America show. Memes. Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail. Mr. Trump, his running mate, J.D. Vance, continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio.
Apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate, J.D. Vance, continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new...
You see, the new threats, right? So it's the rape victim who's to blame for their own rape. Here, see, Lester Holt, if you think that mainstream media journalists are anything other than activists, I've got some bridge stock to sell you in the Tuscumbia Bridge Company from mid-Missouri. I have the stock certificate. I will sign it over to you. It can be yours today. Here's Lester Holt. It's Donald Trump's fault, essentially, that he's, because of his Haitian migrant rhetoric. Well, you know, if you keep this up, Trumpy boy, we're going to have to assassinate you. So you better tone the rhetoric down, Mr. Trump, or else we're going to continue to try and kill you. Representative Jasmine Crockett speaking about Donald Trump. A few hours before someone tried to kill him.
I talk about the fact that when we swore in finally in January, that we swore to defend against those that are coming against us, whether they are domestic or international. And right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. And I think that's why you see so many national leaders, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, coming together to say there is only one person qualified to be the commander in chief, and that is Kamala Harris. I talk about the fact that when we swore in finally,
they are threats to us domestically. And here is that brain on the brink. This is the alleged shooter, Ryan Routh, interviewed by Newsweek Romania in 2022.
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that.
See, this is a man who has been thoroughly brainwashed. You can tell it from the coloration of the hair, from the gaunt look. I don't know if he's a vegetarian or not, but here he is talking about where he was radicalized.
The most important thing in the world.
He was radicalized by corporate news right here in the United States.
To show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So
every donation that this guy made was to Democrats.
One country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some reason, Russia does not grasp this concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we.
This goes on for 10 more minutes, this blubbering from this fool who tried to assassinate Donald Trump. I thought this video of Melania Trump was quite powerful. 1 minute video about the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. Take a listen. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated.
I never imagined my privacy would be invaded by the government here in America. The FBI raided my home in Florida and searched through my personal belongings. This is not just my story. It serves as a warning to all Americans, a reminder that our freedom and rights must be respected.
Interesting stuff. Looking forward to seeing that from the former First Lady, hopefully future First Lady. Here's an example of how the media lies to you, gaslights you. If you've ever wondered why your leftist friend or family member will repeat blatant, obviously debunked lies to you, it's because of this type of programming. And need I remind you that this is considered to be programming.
The man who now leads the Taliban in Afghanistan, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar.
Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, co-founder of the Taliban.
I could hear in Mullah Baradar's voice that he knew President Trump meant business.
CBS News has confirmed that CIA Director William Burns met secretly in Kabul with the Taliban's de facto leader Abdul Ghani Baradar.
We have learned that CIA Director William Burns traveled to Kabul for a secret meeting with Taliban leader Abdul Ghani Baradar.
A Taliban co-founder, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, who oversaw the signing of the U.S. withdrawal agreement last year.
The night. This is the part where Donald Trump invented.
Now here comes. These are all from 2021 and before Donald Trump at the debate called out Abdul that he spoke to from the Taliban. Now here it is after the debate. Here is the programming where they tell you that this man does not exist.
Invented someone. He invented a person who doesn't exist in addition to the people he says are eating dogs. There's another person who doesn't exist. His name is Abdul.
And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems.
Maybe the reason that VP Harris is looking at him that way is one that she's probably thinking maybe he should go back to the old folks home and have a bowl of Jell-O. Or she might also be thinking to herself, no. The head of the Taliban's name is not Abdul. It is Hibatullah Akhundzada. So maybe he couldn't remember that. You know, I had to write it down to know it. Your thoughts on his response in making up Abdul as a person that isn't real?
No one can really confirm who this Taliban person named Abdul is, who he said he'd talked to.
It's the bizarrest bit in the whole debate, where he describes the leader of the Taliban as the guy called Abdul. It's a completely non-existent person. He's just chosen the one Muslim name he can remember. It's like, I don't know, the leader of the Taliban saying, that guy John who leads the West, or is it Billy? And
they laugh, and the audience is laughing. They think that they're in on the joke on this when the entire time they're being lied to and misled. Oh, Fook dropped a Rumble rant. What's up? Said somebody with some social media clout should start a GoFundMe to buy real estate on Martha's Vineyard to turn into Haitian refugee housing, help poor refugees, and F over the Obamas at the same time. Ouch. It's a good one. Steelbringer says, a lot of them are great. I mean, Yam Israel Chai. However, I don't think anyone sane wants conflict. That dude, the guy who tried to assassinate Trump, is ate up. And yeah, editing history intentionally. Media is doing some dystopian-ish. Exactly. You see it here. I show you the evidence. The Wake Up America show brings to you special content every day. You're going to be informed. You're going to laugh. You're going to have a beautiful morning. When you watch the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, you should click that like button. You should follow the channel if you're not already, and come back and join us for our regular schedule, which is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a 2-hour live stream, and if you click the follow button on the Rumble chat, it'll be easy. Underneath the video, you'll be able to find us easier tomorrow. I'm rumble.com/AP4Liberty. And AP for Liberty is where I am all over the web. I've got some comments earlier from some people who were asking questions about my Government is Scary shirt. And before we go to Bow to Your Sensei, I want to remind you that you can get this shirt and our other Halloween shirts for 10% off if you use the code PUMPKIN over at forlibertyshop.com. So today is your day. Head on over to the number 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. If you head over here, you can see the Halloween code, 10% off with code PUMPKIN. Halloween is coming. Your founding fears. You can get the Government is Scary tee, 10% off over at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Our merchandise store is more than just Halloween t-shirts. We have got Javier Milei collection like nowhere else in the world. Footwear, shoes, drinkware, home goods, even a few 3D prints. Somebody tried to convince me to make them a 3D printed killdozer the other day, and I actually turned them down. It is so much work to make these killdozers that I keep them as out of stock. But the day may come when, if enough people want them again, I will just mark them up and say, listen, it's going to be $100 because Stephanie and I are cleaning these things and doing all the print takes forever. And you got different colors, different parts. You're snapping together and gluing together. It's like a whole deal to make one of these things. But we do have other 3D printed products in the shop, like Thomas Jefferson Buddhas, swinging JFK Buddhas, which I think are kind of funny. You could see those exclusively handmade right here in the United States by me. forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Good morning. Thanks for the rants. We appreciate you guys for tuning into the show and being supporters. The financial contributions have really helped us to get through this year and to grow the show and to bring you 2 new shows that are going to be coming this fall. I'm excited to share with you the new Culturama show, which is going to be hosted by Daniela Pensack, and Liberty Tonight, hosted by the King of Libertarians and Brian Piotr. It's going to be fun. It's going to be funny. The Wake Up America show, now part of the For Liberty Network, and it's all coming together nicely. If you're watching us over on Locals this morning, for example, thank you very much for your support. That's a great place for you guys to be able to be in touch, not only with me directly, but Daniela and Brian and the King Libertarian, where they're posting, and you can comment and say hello to them and interact with them when we're not live on the Wake Up America show. So check out forliberty.locals.com to join our Locals page. There's also a link underneath the Rumble video that says join our Locals page. You'll be able to find it there as well. Just click that button. All right, guys, are you ready to have some fun? Are you guys ready for a little bit of Bow to Your Sensei? All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. It's time for a little Bow to Your Sensei.
Good evening, class. I will be your fart sensei.
The Wake Up America show is hosted by a actual living, breathing Japanese karate instructor. Yes, that's me. So it's time.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei.
To bow to your sensei. We're going to learn a little bit about
wax on, wax off.
right? But of course, the important thing to remember about fights and about martial arts or karate when we're talking about street defense guys, that
even if win, you lose.
So try and avoid fights if you can. Here I have for you a video of two men jumping another man in prison. And this is a situation, unlike a lot of other situations, where at least the headline on this one is that they were trying to clap those cheeks, if you know what I'm saying. And he was trying to, I mean, if you're trying to protect your hindquarters, I can't imagine you would be fighting like an animal. I mean, all of a sudden everybody's got karate skills when you're watching, when you're in a scenario where you're trying to avoid getting your cheeks clapped. You know what I'm saying here, right? So you got to have a little bit more than Mr. Miyagi in this situation. But, in this situation, this is when you need to bring out your inner Terry Silver.
Rule number 1, a man can't stand, he can't fight.
So let's watch this video and I'll react to it with my explanation of how I would look at this as an open-handed combat situation. I am not a former military member. I am not a certified self-defense instructor. I am a firearms owner because, this is America, GD, and I'm going to, God bless America.
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
In America, we can carry guns, but these men are in prison, so that is not an option. Two men gang up on one guy, an open-handed fist fight, and we'll talk about it after the video. Watch. Nice overhand. This is 2-on-1. There it is. Now, here it is. You got 2-on-1, and this is in prison. And what I want to say about this one is a couple of things. First of all, good job on the guy who is defending himself against two attackers. He's actually got some pretty decent boxing skills. There he landed a nice solid, you can see him coming back with a left hook into this guy's face, or excuse me, is that a left hook? Where can I see this one here? Right hook. There it appears to go, and knocks the guy off of his feet. It's a little tough there, So right hook puts that one guy down to his knees. Now, in this situation, of course, you're freaking out, and it's so hard to keep your composure. They say that 50% of your training goes out the window once the adrenaline hits, right? And he's taking hits, and that's one of the most important parts of self-defense is that we do train to be able to take hits. You've got to get punched in the face, and I'll never forget the first time I was punched in the face. In class as part of the experience. And typically you're not supposed to, it's not full blown boxing. So we're not like just jabbing each other in the nose. It does happen. Sometimes people are doing to be bullies, and sometimes the rules do allow for it in the karate that I have trained. But in this situation or scenario, when you're getting struck in the face, it's like the old Sylvester Stallone quote, I think from Rocky. It's like, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep coming back. And here we see this guy is getting nailed. He's coming back. He's striking. He's landing blows. Now, you might consider, they could have taken this to the ground. I think that one of the reasons why they didn't do that is because the ground is going to hurt them obviously much more, right? If they were fighting for their lives, it probably would have gone to the ground. But I would say that they're probably, at least smart enough to know that if they go down to the ground, it's going to hurt all of them even more. And this appears to be, if not a fight for, who's going to be their bitch, it does appear to be something like beating them into, maybe they're beating him into a gang, for example, in prison, because somebody comes in to call off the fight in the end and the guy is cornered. Now, few important things to learn from this fight, right? Once he knocks one person down on the ground and that goes in there, it's difficult, of course, because you're dealing, you may be getting grabbed, but one of the things that you want to try and do is when you have two people attacking you, is you want to try and maneuver your feet around to get in between so that they both can't attack you at once. And the way to do that is not try to take them both on at once, but you want to try and move to where you have to have good footwork. This is where footwork comes in, and you want to move to the outside of this. You want to move to the outside here so that you're in between. There's always somebody in between you and the other person. And again, easier said than done in this kind of a situation. Another reason why I think they didn't take this fight to the ground is because they're in prison, and it's not a fight to the death. Maybe it is some kind of a gang initiation, for example, is that they didn't take this to the ground because there is, I know this sounds strange, but there is at least some sense of honor in prison. I do watch a lot of like ex-convicts vlogs, and they talk about like the code that people adhere to, and they break it all the time. But generally when it comes to fights or things like this, they're not trying to take them to the ground or do things like jiu-jitsu here, for example. They're just straight up boxing. And in that situation, of course, a striker like myself is going to have a little bit better of an advantage, but still 2-on-1, anybody in this situation you're going to get cranked, right? You have to accept it in a fight that you're going to get punched. Like, this is what Stephanie and I talk about a lot in our training, is that, part of this process is that there's going to be pain involved. You are going to get struck, and it's about being able to get struck and not stop. Like, when you first learn martial arts and self-defense, you get the situation where you want to just keep blocking. You think you just keep block. But blocking forever is not going to work. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And in this scenario, he understands he can't just keep blocking, but he is doing a good job at blocking, keeping his hands up. He is blocking some strikes, some punches. You can see he's got his hands up when he can, and then he dodges and weaves and puts his head down, right? And strikes, brings his head down, comes back up, pushes him away. A lot of good footwork. See, he's got his hands out, and then he's got some wild punches swinging the outside. But in this scenario, I think this guy did a very good job, and we have to say well done to this gentleman on taking on 2 at 1. You got to be able to take a punch and keep that head moving, just like Mighty Megatron said. I saw another friend of ours, Mongoose87, donated, said AP got his blue belt in BJJ, that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this weekend. Hey, well done, Mongoose. Probably kick my ass. He said, I had to pass a combatives test last December to prove I could adequately defend myself in a fight before I could be eligible just to train for the blue belt. Dude, that is awesome, and congratulations on your blue belt. Jiu-Jitsu is no joke. I'm a striker, so I hope you guys are enjoying Bow to Your Sensei. You guys, thank you.
Bow to your sensei.
Thank you for supporting the brand new segment, the Wake Up America show, brought to you by viewers and listeners just like you. Yes, this time has flown by. This show. There's so much to talk about. I had like 20 other stories and 7 or 8 other clips and things like that, and just not enough time to play them all, guys. Because it's just great. I tried to pick the best of the best, tried to keep you informed about what's happening in the world and entertain you a little bit. If you felt like today's show was valuable, click the like button. If you felt like today's show was crucial to start your day, then head over to forlibertyshop.com and get yourself something nice from the store. A box of Founding Flavors coffee. If you've tried Founding Flavors and you like it, and you have not gotten a monthly subscription, my dad's texting me this morning. He's like, I'm running out of Founding Flavors. I'm like, Dad, you got a subscription. It's coming. Don't worry, right? He might need to get more often deliveries. You can get it every 2 weeks. I think our buddy Will Run Riot does this. He gets his Founding Flavors every 2 weeks, right? Or you can do it a month. You can do it 2 months, 3 months. You get discounts the more coffee you buy, obviously. But think about it like this. If you're like, I'm just buying my cheap Folgers coffee and drink it the next day. I get it. If Founding Flavors coffee is too expensive, I totally understand. People have a budget and we're living under Joe Biden's economy. Is he there yet? I don't know if he's even there anymore. Like, is he still president? I don't know. But if you can, and you'd like to have ultra premium, rich, delicious coffee to start your day along with the morning show, head to forlibertyshop.com, grab yourself a box of Founding Flavors. Try Madisonian Mornings. If you haven't had that one, it's a light roast with tons of caffeine. It's delicious. We all are big fans of it, those who have tried it. You can see the reviews All third-party verified independent reviews. And get yourself a Government is Scary shirt so that when you show up to the Halloween party, you can be the most terrifying creature of all. The Leviathan. The State. Ugh. So check it out over at forlibertyshop.com. Thanks, guys, for all of your support today. Hope you guys are enjoying the show and all the upgrades we're making in the studio. Coming soon to the For Liberty Network, 2 brand new shows this fall. That's right. I'm moving. I'm shaking. I'm heading home to grab some bacon. See you guys tomorrow right here on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Love you guys. Appreciate you.
Unlocking the Wake Up America show's bonus content. Your financial support helps keep the show on the air. Today's story. Donald Trump declares, "I hate Taylor Swift" after pop star endorses Kamala Harris. Former President Donald Trump lashed out at pop star Taylor Swift Sunday, declaring disdain for her days after she endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump posted a strong message to Taylor Swift on Truth Social, saying, "I hate Taylor Swift," without elaborating further. Swift had endorsed Harris just after the ABC News debate between Trump and Harris last Tuesday. She previously supported President Biden in the 2020 election. "I'm voting for it, Kamala Harris, because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them," Swift wrote on Instagram to her 284 million followers. Swift praised Harris as a steady-handed, gifted leader and emphasized the need for calm rather than chaos in leadership. She encouraged her followers to research the issues and understand the candidate's stances on important topics. Swift also mocked GOP vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, signing her post "Childless Cat Lady," a jab at his 2021 interview with Tucker Carlson. The post featured Swift posing with her ragdoll cat Benjamin Button. Tim Walz, Harris's running mate, praised Swift following her endorsement. He advised men to surround themselves with smart women and listen to them. Walz, a fellow cat owner, thanked all the women supporting their campaign, aiming to defeat Trump. Trump's allies quickly reacted against Swift, with speculation about her potential endorsement of the Democratic nominee in the 2024 election. Trump previously criticized Swift after her endorsement, emphasizing he was not a fan of the influential singer. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, liked a post from Trump, drawing backlash from fans. Swift is dating Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. On Fox News, Trump said he preferred Mrs. Mahomes and claimed Swift always endorses Democrats, suggesting she'll face market repercussions. Swift, who once avoided politics, began endorsing candidates in the 2018 Tennessee Senate race, supporting former Governor Phil Bredesen. Over 400,000 users clicked the vote.gov link Swift included in her Instagram story within 24 hours, per a spokesperson for the General Services Administration. Swift urged her fans to register to vote in the upcoming Navi 5 presidential election. Despite her influence, Swift's endorsement appears to have little impact on the 2024 landscape, with only 6% of voters swayed, per an ABC News Ipsos poll. A YouGov poll showed that 8% of voters felt more likely to vote for Harris due to Swift's endorsement, but a majority, 66%, said it would have no impact.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and
always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!